Welcome to another episode of Off the Menu. I'm your host, Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with a besieged Charles Coulombe.
Circle the wagons. Scouts out, mount up. Lock the doors. We're digging in, ladies and gentlemen. We're here in the trenches with General Pershing. That's what we are. We are not, let me repeat, we are not going to give in. We will fight them on the beaches. We shall fight them in the streets. What?
Thank you, Winston Churchill.
Well, okay. So, big deal. He knew how to give a wartime speech, didn't he?
Yeah.
There's a war on.
Yeah, what is it? Blood, tears, toil, and sweat?
I have never promised anything but blood, tears, toil, and sweat. And lots of both. And you have Mr. Roosevelt's, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Mm-hmm.
I hate war. Eleanor hates war. I know war. I know Eleanor. Frankly, I prefer war.
That's not as famous as the first FDR line.
No, well, the first FDR line came from his, first inaugural speech. When people were still singing, "Happy days are here again, the skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. All together shout it now, there's no one can deny it now. And we'll tell the world about it now. Happy days are here again."
Wonderful.
Yeah, see? Don't you feel better?
I do.
Yeah, there we go. Because you know what? We've got it on the run.
Yeah.
We're winning.
That's right.
Yeah. What? Mindless optimism. That's what I'm preaching. What's wrong with you? There's a war on. Did I mention that? This great country of ours and all the other great countries across the globe shall lock hands together, fighting against this unseen, unknown, uncaring foe. And mankind shall once again be victorious in its struggle for absolute victory.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. Don't you feel better now?
Yeah, I feel great.
Yeah, see? All it takes is a little campaign singing, a little bit of oratory, and, you're good to hook.
Yeah. So you're doing good over there.
Well, yeah, so far, knock on wood, I don't seem to have the virus. Please God, it'll stay that way. Did my weekly shopping, this time wearing a mask. Because the numbers are creeping up here in Austria. Even though we're under severe lockdown. And, today I understand that the fellow from Oxford who was behind the alarming statistics in the Imperial College report that pushed both Mr. Bush and Mr. Johnson into locking down whatever they locked down. Of course, the president hasn't locked things down. He's let the states decide for themselves. But at any rate, the fellow behind those statistics is now saying that it's not going to be as bad as he predicted. I don't know. I really have no idea. I will tell you this much. If it's not as bad, if it is as bad as predicted, that's pretty bad. If it's not as bad as predicted, that's pretty bad. But for two different reasons.
Right.
Because if it's as bad as predicted, a whole lot more of us are going to die, and it's going to be very, very unpleasant. If it's not as bad as predicted, then the leaders of Europe and America will have to face their people and explain why they destroyed their economies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. Now, of course, the opposite is also possible, in that if it does end fairly quickly, the leadership will be able to say, you see, what we did worked. And if it doesn't, then they'll be able to say, see, we didn't do enough of it soon enough.
Mm.
And in any case, it'll all be Trump's fault.
Of course. Yeah. Orange man
Although
bad.
The Trumpster may well, despite all this, come up smelling like roses. Everybody's getting $1,200 out of him after all. I mean, it's hard not to vote for Santa Claus.
Wow.
What? Oh, what? Somebody gives you $1,200, you're not going to vote for him?
Okay. No, I mean that's right.
Yeah. So
But
now the fact that you had to print up $2 trillion extra to do it, well, we'll see what happens with that. Who knows?
okay. All
And
right.
let me see. Other than that, I have good news. Archduke Karl von Habsburg has recovered from the coronavirus.
Mm.
And his son and heir, the Archduke Ferdinand, is in the army ensuring delivery of yum-yums to people like me. So I sent him a note.
Mm.
He had a video of himself and his comrades shoveling boxes around. And I wrote to him that I saw future meals of mine in those boxes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Are you two buds?
What's that?
Are you two
No,
buddies?
I wouldn't say. No. We're not buds. I've never met the man.
Does he know you?
I've met his father several times. I've
Oh.
never met him.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's move on to the memes of production.
Nationalize the memes of production.
Yes. All right. So besieged. So let's start with something that I plucked from your Facebook timeline.
Oh, I am touched.
For all you contentious folk, gaze upon this and despair. It's a very cute bunny.
Yes, isn't he sweet?
Yeah.
Or she?
Or she.
Whichever.
Yeah, I don't feel saccharine poisoning from this.
Well, it shows you how effective my campaign of slowly poisoning people with saccharin has been. The fact that you don't look at that and feel slightly sick to your stomach shows that your body already has absorbed some of the saccharin. It's a slow buildup. One of these days, you're going to look at one of my postings that was something uber cute, and it'll just keel over.
So your wow, gosh. Okay, so it's like slowly poisoning us with arsenic instead of arsenic, it's saccharin.
Basically. Exactly. But you see, this is because so many of the people that look at my Facebook page try to poison each other with vitriol. And I don't think that's nice. And so, when they're bad, they have to be punished.
See, how come when I do that with the Tumblr House Tower, I get ridiculed when I have that approach, but then you can have that on your Facebook wall?
Well, yeah, absolutely. That's because no one is dependent for a living on my Facebook page, not to my knowledge. Whereas you've got all of these, for want of a better word, serfs, dependent for their entire livelihood on your largesse. So yeah, I'll make fun. Absolutely.
But it's the same philosophy.
No, it's not the same philosophy. The people who give me grief, or worse, give each other grief on my Facebook page, they don't owe me a thing. They could be very happily annoying other people on other pages.
Same is true for me.
Why do they? Oh yeah, what, in this economy? I don't think so. Especially all those zombies outside your gate. Homeless. I just think that people who are so rude to each other need to be punished, and the best way to punish them is with cute, sweet, saccharine, bunnies, unicorns, little chicks. little ducklings. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Little girls in dresses. Little boys playing Jack and Jill. Oh, yes. It's so sweet. Whoa. That that is my revenge. What is it? The Star Bright or something? There are a couple of memes that have this disgustingly cute little girl and her pet unicorn. And one of them shows her and the unicorn, gamboling, and the caption is, "I will take what is mine with fire and blood."
I like that one. Now we showed that. That was one of the first memes of production. I love that one.
That one was good. And then the other shows her with a stuffed animal or something, and she says, I will make your enemies die the death or something. And it's good stuff.
Those who would harm you will die screaming.
Yes, those two will harm you would die screaming. You know what's funny? People either laugh uproariously at those things, or they're like, "What? I don't understand that. Why is she saying that?" Well,
I think we inherently have a sadistic sense of humor.
oh no! Don't be like that. No, 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 no. I prefer to think of it as helping.
Ah, yes.
I mean, in fact, in a sense, you and I are precisely what Mr. Rogers' mother told him to look for.
What?
No, it's true. You see, Mr. Rogers told the story of how when he was little and he would read scary things in the newspapers, his mother would say, when you read something scary in the newspaper, look at the photographs, look for who's helping. You'll always find the helpers. Look for the helpers. And that's what we are. We're helpers.
That's a strange identity.
Well, somebody's got to do it. And Mr. Rogers would be proud. So would Captain Kangaroo.
Okay.
In fact, virtually every reputable child show host would consider what we're doing to be vital to the sanity of America's children.
That's what I've been saying. We're essential.
Exactly. We're essential for the war effort.
Yeah.
We do our part, Blue Eagle and all.
Okay. Next meme. I actually just plucked this today off of random person's Facebook. It's been shared a lot though. Eighth day of self-isolation, and it's like Vegas in my house. We're losing money by the minute. Cocktails are acceptable at any hour, and nobody knows what time it is. Oh.
I got a feeling I think most of us know what he's talking about. You do lose track of time, though, don't you? It's very strange.
I love that.
I wish there was someone else to share my seclusion, then I could drink.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Your rule: don't drink alone.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's a rule. It just, I look at that bottle of Slovak red wine every day.
You can't do it, huh?
No. There's nobody to toast with. There's nobody to drink and sing with.
Your nephew is just upstairs. What does he do? Oh, you guys can't even visit each other.
No. Plus, he has two little ones.
Oh. Yeah, gosh, that must be especially frustrating.
It is. It is.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that's what to be besieged means. Do you hear the shelling over the hills?
Do you guys talk through the wall? Do you guys or something?
No, we go out to the hall and
You
shout
got?
up at each other.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's like at 9 o'clock, we have a rosary every night here.
Mm-hmm.
We go out to the center of the quad, everyone keeping their distance. And it's 9 p.m. tonight, and we say the rosary. It's a very strange time right now.
Okay. One last thing for the memes of production. So, you know me. other than the fish, I like keeping things fresh, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna try something fresh, something new. I'm gonna
Tuna?
try. What?
Tuna?
Tuna? I didn't say
Yeah.
tuna. What? What about
You
tuna?
said something fresh and new. You've never done tuna before in the commissary.
No, not tuna.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
My hopes rose.
Sorry about that. Well, you can go on hoping, Charles. I mean, you can hope that one day. I think that hope is important.
Oh,
Um.
keep hope alive. Haven't heard that for a while, have you?
No, I haven't. But anyhow, so we're gonna do a meme of production contest. Because I have a lot of books that I want to give away, a lot of copies of books, and so I figured let's do a contest. Let's get some more interactivity with the fans, and let's see if we can generate some cool content. So I came across on Twitter. I think I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure he's a fan. It's a gentleman with the alias Tetrarchy. Had posted a version of a popular meme, a Winnie the Pooh meme. So you've got regular Winnie the Pooh. Now, who's the guy on the top, Charles? That's the Spaniard military?
Yeah, it's one of. I think it's a Spanish soldier or something.
Yeah.
Spanish Foreign Legion, maybe.
So Winnie the Pooh, not impressed. Normal Winnie the Pooh. Classy Winnie the Pooh in the tux. And I think you told me before the show that these are carless on the right.
They're Carlos, yeah.
Yeah. So I like this meme. I really like it. I think it fits within the show. So let's do a contest for Winnie the Pooh. This version. There's another version of this where instead of just 2 layers, you can do 3 layers. Let me put that on the screen. This is just an example. Where the 3rd layer, you've got Winnie the Pooh with a mustache, a monocle, a hat. Really the top level. So you guys come up with any good ideas, send it in. The best way to reach me is to just tag me on Twitter, but you can always, like give me a link to the file through the Contact Us page and all sorts of different ways. But best way is Twitter.
What does the winner get?
Winner gets, so I have a bunch of books. Let's see here. So we've got, you pick one. Oh, also, I'll go ahead and make this international, not just United States, all across the world, wherever you are. Charles will be the judge. I'll let Charles judge it, and whatever Charles decides is the best meme will win a book. So we've got The Pope's Legion by Charles Coulombe.
Yay!
Let's see here. Father Ripperger, Principle of Integral Good.
Yay!
Topics on Tradition by Father Ripperger. Magisterial
Yay!
Authority by Father Ripperger.
Yay!
Chivalry by Leon Gautier.
Yay!
And let's see here. Oh, Star Spangled Crown by some obscure author.
Yay!
And just for good measure, a couple of Soul Shirts books. Apostasy in America, Come Down Zacchaeus.
Yay, yay.
So you get to choose from all of those books. One book.
One book.
Maybe this could be a weekly thing that we can do. Have some fun. Deadline is this Thursday. Because we kind of yeah.
Well, the question is, will there be free shipping and handling?
Everything is completely free, totally free, Charles. There's a
Free
limited
shipping
time
and
offer.
handling?
Yeah, limited time offer while supplies last.
Void where prohibited. See, no CODs accepted.
Gosh, I love it. There's still salesmanship going on. You know who I was watching on television, and I was just like amazed. Is this My Pillow guy? Have you seen this My Pillow guy? Like he sells the My Pillow. He's got this mustache, and apparently he's a good Catholic. I hear actually.
Huh? Does he do it while supplies last?
No, he does this. He has this new thing now where it's like what is it? He's selling blankets now, and it's like these Giza dreams, he says, and it's like made from plants that grow in this very specific area of the Mediterranean, and it's so exotic. And he's got like 50 different things. Like, because I'm in marketing, I notice all the marketing tactics. Like, he's got badges like 30-day money back guaranteed.
Oh,
1-year warranty. Like, he has all of them.
Boyd, we're prohibited.
They might say that. I mean, it's just an absolute bombardment. Like, he threw out like everything you could think of at the television screen. So
operators are standing by.
I'm sure they say that. Yeah, I'm sure they say that.
Oh gosh, I love those.
Yeah. So okay. So deadline is for this week is Thursday, which is going to be April 2nd already. That's
Wow.
good. I'm glad we're getting into April already, because I know everybody's expectations to beat this thing is to beat the virus is kind of mid-April. So it's nice for time to elapse for us to finish this. You know?
April, come she will. Yes.
Yeah. So so good luck to everyone who's gonna enter. And yeah. All right. What else do we have here? Well, I have to go through the list of shameless plugs. We need more subscribers. 10,000. We need to reach 10,000 subscribers. Like a good 30% of the people who watch our full episodes are somehow not subscribed yet on YouTube. Click that subscribe button on the bottom right corner of the screen. It's so important for us. We get to do a lot of cool things once we hit 10,000. This also is on iTunes. This is also the audio version for all you people who enjoy us in that manner. Go on YouTube and subscribe to us as well, please. It's a huge help. Wait, what is this? What's going on? What are you doing?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Are you serious right now?
What's that?
Are you serious right now?
About what? Go ahead. Don't let me stop you.
I can't believe you just did that right now.
No, go ahead.
You can...
What? What?
Wow, okay. Well, for those of you listening in, Charles just put on his mask in the middle of the show. Okay. Oh. All right, good on you,
But
Charles.
continue with the contest.
The contest? What are you talking about?
You were talking about the contest. You were talking about
Winnie the Pooh and memes.
Yeah.
What does your mask have to do with the contest?
Well, you were talking about the contest, and now you've gotten all interested in my mask. Forget about my mask. You've seen masks. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, I don't know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize, but
No, go ahead. Go ahead. It's not a problem. Go ahead.
Okay. So sorry. Okay. So yeah, and if you like the show, click that like button. Get in the routine. Get in the habit. Generates our. Oh, that was just for effect. Oh, you're not gonna. Oh, yeah, that's just for shock value, huh? Yeah, you're not gonna write it out, huh? Yeah.
No, I just thought I'd look. We're all doing our bit right now to fight the virus.
Yes, we are. Yeah, okay, and so become a patron. We have exclusive content, pre-show content, for as low as $1 a month. It's usually around 15-20 minutes each pre-show. More laughs, more questions on the pre-show, and we will ask your question. We absolutely will ask a question, unless it's some really weird questions or some taboo things. We'll ask a question. And that is it. Oh, people keep asking about the flags behind us. They're actually wall tapestries. The Sacré-Cœur flag is behind me and also behind Charles. And also on the back left portion of Charles's screen is the Habsburg coat of arms, they're both available on our Teespring store. I think the big the Habsburg banner and the Sacré-Cœur, I think they're $40. So
each of them comes with free shipping and handling.
That's not true, Charles, because we don't fulfill that. That's through our Teespring, the Teespring store. That's not through our website. So if you're looking for that, we have a link in the summary of the video, so you can click that.
So how much do they have to pay for shipping and handling?
I don't know, maybe $5. I'm not sure. I can't quote it, Charles, but
so they've got to get it while supplies last.
They definitely have to get it while supplies last, for sure.
How about COD?
Satisfaction guaranteed. You're gonna love it. It's the coolest flags. We have these on pillows too, ladies and gentlemen. We have it on blankets. I sleep underneath the Habsburg coat of arms blanket, and it is the coolest. I can legitimately say this without any fake hype. It's the coolest blanket you will ever own in your entire life.
I have to say, God rest him. When I came back from Trumau back last December, and we did one of the shows, I was very impressed to see your father wrapped up in one of them.
Yeah, it was a cool sight.
Yeah, the double eagle. I should have taken a picture. Yeah, the double eagle all over him. I mean, he looked like a walking ad for the House of Habsburg, or a sleeping ad, as the case might be.
He did. I mean, he looked like a World War I vet that was just sort of
wrapping himself in the flag.
Yeah, literally wrapping himself in the flag. Yeah,
it was a beautiful sight. It's funny now that we're locked away on our little hidey holes. That world of a mere 3 months ago seems like an eternity.
It does, doesn't it?
Yep. But you know what? The new normal. Void where prohibited.
A random topic. I was talking with my brother because everyone, kind of an impromptu topic. I'm just gonna bring up now because we're talking about how everything is going to change because of coronavirus. We're highlighting things. I think we talked about this on the previous episode where we're going to see which country does it best.
Yeah.
And my brother feels like that this is going to be the end of the EU. Because of what happened specifically between Germany and Italy, where Germany had these supplies and Italy's in a bad way right now, and Germany's like, yeah, I think we're gonna keep our supplies. Yeah.
Yeah, the Chancellor of Austria, Mr. Kurz, declared that both European solidarity and the United Nations would have to globalism would have to be re-examined in the light of the experiences every country has undergone. But a lot depends on a lot of things we don't know. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know really how badly the economy is going to do. And, dare I say it, all things being equal, if things aren't too bad, just as with 9/11, in a year, people have a hard time remembering what happened. Unless, obviously, if you lost grandma, you'll remember. But if not, people simply, that's the way we are. You remember how quickly 9/11 faded.
Yeah.
How quickly the 92 riots faded.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So much depends on so many imponderables.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway. I have to say that the secretarial pool they've gotten a little giddy, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gotten giddy. 2 weeks of being confined here in the girls' dorm, as the sign says. Apparently, every night they're having slumber parties. And the sound of giggling just...
Well, that's how women isn't it?
Well, they're not giggling like that. Little girls are like that. 12-year-old girls are like that, but not ladies in their 20s.
High school girls were like that, too, because I went to an all-boys school, and whenever we would see the girls, and it's all the girls together, they're always just raucous and giggling.
Well, apparently, I mean, I suppose you don't prowl the halls there at night, but apparently,
No,
even
that
Tyrone was kept awake by the loud, raucous giggling of the girls in the girls' dorm.
well,
And he slammed on their door. He didn't open it, but he slammed on their door and said, "Knock it off in there." And he was greeted by more giggling.
yeah, they don't suffer Tyrone too much.
No, I guess not. And then the boys' dorm, as you call it, apparently is thick with the smell of cigarette smoke and the playing of cards and drinking and so on. Again, it's like a like a fraternity house. And this is what you have allowed to develop under your roof.
And how would you have it, Charles? You disapprove of my methods.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I just bring them to your attention. I bring the results to your attention. I'm not saying I disapprove.
Okay.
I am not by nature a judgmental person. You know that. Well, do we
myth.
have any questiones?
Yes, time for the questions. Plenty of great questions today. Okay, first
Okay.
question is from Carl. I have a question for Charles. There are many similarities between ancient heresies and modern Protestant churches. For instance, Arianism and Jehovah's Witness, as well as iconoclasm and Reformed denominations. Being a student of history and witnessing Protestantism effectively devolve into agnosticism, especially in Europe, and then further devolve into effective atheism, when do you speculate that Protestantism may crumble into relative oblivion? For instance, one cannot compare the relative fervor of Calvinists today versus 100 years ago. And 200 years ago, I believe from what I have read, Calvinism was much more dominant in countries like Scotland. Even in this country, we are probably a generation or two away from the vast majority of Protestants belonging to a non-denominational church, which teaches that all you have to do to be assured of the pearly gates is to say a phrase and be a nice person. If you were to have Vince's people place some discretionary funds on a future date, when would you speculate that Protestantism will cease to have political or cultural relevance in the world at large?
Oh, I'll take a wild guess. 2060.
2016.
No, 2060.
Oh, 2060.
2060.
I see.
You know why?
Why?
My 100 years, my centennial.
Yeah.
Why not? No, it's true. I mean, it means less and less with every passing year. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, sure.
I think Tumblr House is aiding in facilitating that development, in stopping Protestantism and its effects.
Oh.
Yeah, you know how in the movie Batman Begins, have you seen that movie? Bruce Wayne, delves into an unused research and development division in, his father's company because it's so huge and profitable. It's just all these assets are sitting on the side and become Bruce Wayne's plaything, right? And he uses these things to fight criminals, right? Well, it's kind of like that with Tumblr House, but instead of fighting criminals, it's fighting Protestants.
Ah, so you discovered whole printing presses and rooms of unpublished material. I see.
It's something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
Who's your Alfred figure? You gotta have an Alfred figure.
I can't say.
I see. And the Tibetan monastery where you gotta learn weird stuff.
Oh yeah, I had to go. You have to find yourself. You see.
Yeah, which is what Bruce Wayne did.
To master fear, you must become fear. You must bask in the fear of others. And men fear most what they do not see.
That sounds like it came out of the shadow.
That's Batman Begins.
Oh well.
That's That's Ra's al Ghul, Charles. That's Liam
That's right.
Neeson's character.
Ra's al Ghul. And of course, he did have Michael Caine
Yeah, everybody loves Michael Caine.
as Alfred.
Yeah.
Yes,
Some
sir.
some men just want to watch the world burn. That's how it is.
Oh, sorry. I just want to live here in safety and comfort.
Don't we all?
I don't think that's a lot to ask.
That's not. All right.
All right, what else you got?
Wait. So 2060 is the answer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Jody, who is a new patron. Thank you, Jody, for becoming a patron.
Thanks very much.
I'm a young and blooming monarchist and have read Star Spangled Crown. Yeah, Star Spangled Crown. Whoops. I'm curious about how a king or queen would react to COVID-19 as opposed to our Herodian Republic. Smiley face. I like his smiley face there. With the scramble in the Senate with this coronavirus stimulus package, what do you think King James IV would do to try and solve this outbreak? And for those of you who don't know, he's like, oh, who's King James IV? It is Charles's fictional king in Star Spangled Crown. If you'd like to know more, get the book.
The first king of the United States.
That's right.
What would he do? Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. No, but I suspect that I don't know what he would do, but his approach would certainly be different in the sense that he wouldn't be worried about having to fight the election later this year. He could focus entirely on what would be the best possible thing to do for his people. You see, part of the problem you've got with making policy under an elected system is that you can't do anything in the long term, and you always have to have an eye to the ballot box. Always.
Yeah.
So, would the fictional king have done what the president has done, or the Chancellor of Austria? I don't know. I think he probably would have, however, a clearer picture of what needed to be done, because he wouldn't be facing the same electoral pressure. You see.
Yeah. Now, one of the points that you like to make in terms of the difference between monarchy and republics is that monarchy is intensely personal.
Yeah.
In terms of the relationship between the people and the king.
That's correct. And so the king, understand, would have the well-being of his people deeply at heart. I mean, it's interesting that, as I say, the Archduke Ferdinand is here in Austria, is in the army, risking himself to ensure that the food gets out, the supplies get out to the people in Austria. That's what the Austrian army is doing. They were mobilized. And having been mobilized, they're being used to make sure that food supplies and so forth are reaching all the markets. It's not very glamorous, but it's very, very important in a country like Austria. And of course, his father, the Archduke Karl, has just gotten over it. I suppose, too, that he would call on his people like the Duc d'Anjou, the heir to the French throne, has done, to use this time to remember their true values as Frenchmen, God and the Church and so forth, which is something interesting enough we haven't heard a lot from anybody. You know, our religious leaders or our political leaders. There's been very little urging of us to remember the four last things: death, judgment, heaven, and hell. See, the likelihood, ladies and gentlemen, is that the vast majority of you watching this podcast are not going to get this disease. And of those who do, the vast majority are going to get over it. We'll all feel the economic effects of this thing. There's no way around that. No way around that at all. But The thing is that a king we would feel was suffering right alongside us. The bishops, the Pope, the priests, they should remind us of the fact that really what we're going through doesn't change anything. All of us are still facing death. Probably not going to be the coronavirus. Probably going to be something else. We're all of us facing death. We should use this time, this weird enforced Lent, to do that, to get further into ourselves, to become better Catholics, better people. That's what we should do. And part of that, it's not just about stirring up religious fervor, although that too. You should also study up on stuff you've never had the time to study up on before. Read books you've always wanted to read. Expand your horizons, because you may not get a chance like this again.
Yeah, it's an opportunity in that sense for contemplation.
Yeah. There's a very funny video that's made the rounds. This guy is looking at you, and the voice says, due to the coronavirus, we're all forced to quarantine. Is that quarantine with your wife and child? B. And the guy goes, B.
Yeah.
Yeah, B.
I saw that one. The black dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, B. He has no idea what B is, but he knows what A is. Not even a question.
Yeah, that was good.
But honestly, I think King James would urge his people to use this time for self-improvement.
Yeah. I remember one of our patrons, Andrew, last week asked us, what some of our routines are. And I'll just add to that, since we're talking about this, one of my things I really like to do is walking. I did it before, the coronavirus, but I especially like it now because there's less cars, there's less traffic. It's so peaceful outside. It's really beautiful in California right now.
Spring.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's so quiet, and all you can hear are the birds and just everything else. And I love it. It's a good time to... I love walking too because you let your mind wonder about things. You let your mind contemplate and go where it will. And it's so relaxing to do that, to be able to do that, to not have a goal set, like, oh, I have to go to work, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. You can choose any path to walk that you want. It's a little adventure.
Yeah.
And you can let your mind go to different places. And I think it's important to get outside during this time too, right? It
is.
So that you aren't, so you don't get cabin fever. And so that there's beauty in the world and that everything is still, you can behold God's creation at this time.
Yeah, and you're not under any pressure time-wise. So
yeah,
it's use this time. You may not have this sort of time again for a while, so use it and have a good time with it.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from Brian. Charles, could you please discuss local customs for the Latin Mass, such as whether or not the bells are rung at the minor elevation? Is this usually done at a parish by parish level, regionally, or nationally? Is there any logic behind it?
That's a good question. I mean, I've seen a lot of different, I've traveled a lot, and I've seen the Tridentine Mass in a lot of different places. And there are a lot of little variations, which I presume are customary to that place. I mean, it's like with the double ringing for the elevation of the minor elevation. I've seen that in some places. I've seen other places that don't do it. I've seen places that always have the cloth over the altar rail that you put your hands under. I've seen places that don't. I've seen places where you sit during the offertory during a low mass. I've seen others where you kneel. I suspect it's more local than anything else.
So at our local mass, so I'll just go out and name names and name the parish. So we used to have Father Bishop, and he would do it a certain way. Um, and recently we've had Father Justin a lot, a Norbertine priest, and some other Norbertines too have celebrated from St. Michael's. Um, I don't know if you've witnessed this or noticed this, but it shocked my mom and I when we first introduced it, because the altar boy is always kissing his hand, the priest's
Yeah,
hand. For the incense, he's doing the incense, but before that, the altar boy is always
it's
kissing the
bad. Yeah,
hand, and it was kind of jarring because it happened so much. I didn't know that was a thing.
that's
Can you talk
European.
about that? As
Yeah, yeah, it's very European,
I
and
see,
it's something that does shock Americans
yeah.
because they're not used to it. Why are they kissing hands? Well, see, kissing hands is a sign of respect. You know that when the prime minister, the person who becomes prime minister in Britain, goes to Buckingham Palace to be officially made prime minister, they call that kissing hands.
Hmm. I see.
Uh, it's uh, it's a very old and very European way of showing respect to someone to kiss their hands, and that's why it's done. But in America, for a very long time, we haven't done that because we're the land of freedom, the home of the free, the brave of the land, and all that. And a Yankee Doodle dandy. I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
so we tend to cut down on marks of respect like that.
Hmm. Yeah. There was a lot of other perhaps minor changes that Justin brought in that were interesting. I think, like, just before communion, he does a little blessing where everybody
Yeah,
does that too.
with
Father
that,
Bishop did not used to do that.
no, he did not. The reason is that was general in all masses until 1962.
Hmm.
The 1962 missal made uh, the second absolution. Uh, what's the word? It made it
Unnecessary?
optional.
Optional, yeah.
It made it optional. Now, Father Bishop actually would do it in parishes where it was the custom,
Hmm.
but where it wasn't the custom, he didn't do it. It makes perfect sense, though, because I'm going to say something terrible. Sometimes people are at Mass and they have bad thoughts.
Ah. Yeah. So you need that extra blessing to wipe.
You might, especially because, when you've got the chicks poured into their tight jeans,
Okay.
well, I'm just saying. There's nothing stranger than jeans and a chapel veil, to my way of thinking.
I've never seen that.
Now, not at St. Therese, you haven't, but I've seen it. I just, why do you do that?
That was actually my argument for dressing modestly. Is I would always say, how do you do, because I felt that everything falls in line once you cover the head with a veil. Like, immodest dress is kind of weird when you're covering your head with a veil.
You would
Like,
think, but people are strange.
okay. I'm glad I've never witnessed this phenomenon. I'm sure everyone in the comments are going to tell us their horror stories now.
Yeah,
But,
tight jeans and a chapel veil.
okay.
That sounds like a 50s song. She wore tight jeans and a chapel veil. Da 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 da.
Okay. Um,
Land of the eternal teenagers.
any other interesting customs regarding Mass
Um,
that you can think of off the top of your head? It's okay if there's none, just in case.
Oh, it's so hard. Oh, Blue vestments. They
But
use light blue.
so that's another optional thing.
Well, not exactly. They use light or sky blue in the Spanish-speaking world, and then dark blue, like your shirt, royal blue. I've seen here in Austria investments for Feast of Our Lady.
Hmm.
So anyway, there you go.
Okay, interesting. I don't think I've ever seen blue vestments.
He wore
Don't do that.
blue vestments, bluer than vestments for the night. What?
All right.
No?
Okay. No. No. We're not
You don't
gonna.
want to hear the rest of it.
I don't know.
Okay.
Look, my job is to represent the audience at large, and the
Yeah.
audience is saying no.
So they don't want to hear Blue Vestments as sung originally by Bobby Vinton.
No, they do not want to hear that. I
Okay.
speak for the people when I say this. Okay.
Oh, a man of the people. That's beautiful. The
Yes.
right people.
The right people. Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, we're really scrambling at the Rotary Club, you know? I mean, we need to solve the problem. I mean, cuz obviously
Rotary number 5.
we're controlling everything, right? So,
Well, indeed. The Rotary Club has its fingers in everything.
yeah. So, don't worry, Rotary Club, we're going to fix everything. Okay? We've got our finger on the pulse of
That's what President Camacho promised.
and well, they got it done, didn't they?
Well, they did. They
Yeah.
did. Electrolytes. That what plants crave.
Yeah, that's okay.
I love the way Luke Wilson or Owen Wilson said, but just what are electrolytes anyway? Though it makes Brando. Yeah, they're what plants crave.
Yeah. And that's from, for those of you who don't know, we often reference the movie Idiocracy, which as a whole, it's not the best movie, but it's a very prophetic movie, and it's got very
Yeah.
funny moments in a prophetic way, like that.
Yeah, President Camacho shooting up the State of the Union address. That was good.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Next question is from Adrian.
Hello, Adrian.
What does Charles and Vincent, I guess, think about the claim made by certain thinkers, most notably Jacques Ellul and Ted Kaczynski, that technology or technique has become autonomous? Certain Catholic authors lend credence to this idea. Christopher Dawson certainly thought it possible. Tolkien's Ring of Power can be interpreted as symbolizing an autonomous technological system that follows its own internal logic of development, despite the wishes of its bearers. Even Pope Francis's Laudato Si bears a strong suspicion against the supposed neutrality of the techno-industrial system. What say you?
Wow. Well, on the one hand, it would be easy to point out that Jacques Ellul was an anarchist, quote-unquote, anarchist Christian Protestant. And it would be easy to say that Ted Kaczynski was, after all, the Unabomber. However,
We don't do that. We don't argue. I don't like that. I don't like where it's like,
no,
okay, you're wrong because, and then we're just
because
going to
you're this or
assassinate.
that.
Yeah,
That's called the ad hominem.
I hate that.
Well, it's called the ad hominem, and if you resort to it, it shows you don't actually have any arguments.
Yeah.
Well, you only hold that view because you're a moron. Well, okay. But what I will say is that he's quite right about certain Catholic writers. Tolkien, yes. Christopher Dawson. Shoemaker, who wrote Small is Beautiful. And there's a book by a man called Charles Reich called The Greening of America. He talks about the opposition of the hippie generation to what he called technocracy. Well, there's a certain amount of truth to all this. I mean, why do we abort babies? Well, because we can. Why do we contracept? Because we're able to. Why do we euthanize? Because we're able to. Why do we talk about going transhuman, i.e., transferring human intelligence into a machine? The idea being that you could achieve immortality that way. Your mentality would be uploaded into a computer.
Yeah.
Now that really, it's an attack on humanity, ultimately.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, imagine you're you, and somehow they did manage to upload you into a machine. That would be hell. You wouldn't have your senses. It'd be all technical simulacra.
Well, I think I don't know if that's truly possible. I don't think, again, because we're talking about a person with free will who creates and defines themselves based on genuine choices, and a robot. See?
Yeah, and I think that there's a very good chance that if they managed to achieve what appeared to be that, it wouldn't be it.
It
In
would be
other words, it would
fake.
be like, yeah, it'd be like a tape recording.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like
You know,
Inception. Like
yeah,
the woman, the wife in Inception. It's a shade of the wife. It's a memory.
yeah, not
It's
the
not.
real thing.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't keep people from still trying to do it, because that is the way our science goes. They just keep pushing and pushing and pushing in whatever direction they feel like pushing it. So
Yeah.
I think there's a certain, to answer his question, I think there's a certain amount of truth to what he says.
Yeah. I think it's just the wording. It's not technology that's autonomous. It's just you take several constants, which is like, okay, cutthroat free market competition, available uses of technology, which is basically power, right? Technology is power. And you have to use it as much as possible, perhaps even beyond ethical considerations, to get ahead.
Yeah.
And because of our fallen human nature, it pushes everything in a certain direction.
Yes.
And but it doesn't need to be that way. See, it's just fallen human nature does that. There's always a choice.
There is. But I mean, I do believe that while we're all stuck with the choices, but I do believe that in a certain sense, societies go in certain paths. You know, certainly, well, for instance, a lot of what we accept in television today would have been considered outright pornography when I was young. But
That's a perfect example. Yeah.
And that's the direction we were going in, you see. And it took on a life of its own. Now, mind you, you don't have to watch it. And that's what everyone always says. If you don't like it, you don't have to see it. Well, yeah, but see, it simply couldn't have been seen 50 years ago.
Right.
I mean, much as I enjoyed the series for its story content and things like that, there were many times in Game of Thrones where I just had to look away. And sometimes I'd be looking at something and it didn't dawn on me what it was until afterwards. And I thought, because again, my mind is still back in 1964.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would see something and it wouldn't register until afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what I was seeing, because I still, having been formed in that era, it's still very hard for me to believe that somebody could put something like that on screen, on the small screen.
Yeah.
See, I'm so old. I remember when they had censors, and these censors were there to ensure that there was nothing against good taste on the air. And
yeah, so let's provide specific context to this question, which is, does how does he say it? Does television have its own internal logic of development? Is the technology of the television, set on a path?
not the technology per se, but those who wield it, those who make the choices.
Yeah.
They're on that path. We always have to warn against, I think, the one-size-fits-all mentality. So, for instance, if someone says to me, are you in favor of censorship? Well, that's a crazy question. That's the wrong question. The question is, what is it to be censored, and who is going to do the censoring? That's the question. Because censorship by itself is a tool. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just there.
Yeah.
The question is, what are you censoring? Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, but what about freedom of speech? I guarantee you there is something you do not want freedom of speech for. Holocaust denial comes to mind here in Europe. You start denying the Holocaust, and you see what happens to your freedom of speech. Now, don't get me wrong. I had relations who died in the Holocaust. I know very well it happened. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't pretend you believe in freedom of speech when you favor the punishing of certain ideas. Because freedom of speech is a means to an end, not an end in itself. What are you going to be saying? Why can't I just go to a crowded theater and say fire? Well, freedom of speech. Well, if I feel like saying fire, I won't mention who, but I know somebody not so long ago who thought it'd be funny to say he had the coronavirus, which he did not, on his Facebook page. Well, the next thing you know, people were complaining, and his pastor asked the family not to come back until he'd recovered. Well, he wasn't sick. You see, but he was exercising his freedom of speech for what he considered to be a joke. These are not the time. This is not the time to make that kind of joke.
Yeah. Okay.
What we got next?
Okay, next question. A few days ago, hashtag Bernie is our FDR was trending on Twitter. Do you see any resemblance? Do you feel the burn?
I know Bernie would love to be FDR. I know he would love to be able to do it, to sing Happy Days Are Here Again. But see, this is a man who, the year the Soviet Union fell, he and his wife went there on honeymoon, and he proclaimed it paradise on earth. He's not a smart guy in a lot of ways. Do I feel the burn? Yeah, rope burn. No. No Bernie. Bad touch. No.
You feel he's a good person, though, and compassionate.
The only job he's ever had was in politics. How could he possibly be good or compassionate?
Are you serious?
Yes. He's never had a real job. He's lived off women until he got elected mayor of Burlington, Vermont. I mean, if you consider being a gigolo a job.
He wasn't even a lawyer or anything to start or something?
No. That's the burn. He went direct into government work, and he sat in the Senate spending other people's money without any idea of how it's actually made himself. So no, I'm not feeling the burn. Feeling burned over, perhaps. Burned out. But I'm not feeling the burn.
Okay. How do you think this virus is affecting the more traditional Catholic political movements in Europe?
That remains to be seen. Right now everybody's hunkered down. I don't know how it's going to affect them. It all depends on a lot of things. The Duke of Anjou, who is legitimate heir to the French throne, issued a very rip-roaring statement calling on Frenchmen to rediscover their God, their church, and family and fatherhood and all that. But who knows? I think it's quite possible that when this is all over, if the existing regimes have proved themselves either too alarmist or not alarmist enough, I think there may be something of an opportunity for shaking things up a great deal.
Okay. Do you think that there may be another great war to get us out of the economic decline we have because of the virus?
Well, it's possible. Don't know. I mean,
what would the war be over, though? I mean, we're not.
I don't know who we would fight. I mean, the Chinese? I don't know. No, I really am not in a position to make any prophecies right now. I don't know. I don't know.
You made the prophecy about Protestantism in 2060.
Well, yeah, that's fairly easy. This is filled with so many imponderables that I don't know.
The death of Protestantism is easy to predict.
Oh, sure, sure. I mean, it's the difference between somebody who's obviously a terminal heart patient uh, and somebody who may or may not have a disease.
Okay, well that's a good metaphor. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Okay.
if he does get the disease, how bad is he going to be? And if it's very bad, what kind of care is he going to get? You don't know. I don't know.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's do a happy, fun question to end the show. Right? Let's.
All right.
All right.
One question to end the show. One question to find them. One question to end the show, and in the darkness, find them.
That that's not very uplifting.
No. All right. Well, let's see what the other question is.
All right. What do you think of Catholic culture in the South? What are some of your favorite traditions or practices that Catholics have in the South?
Well, Catholicism in the South traditionally was restricted to a few places. Maryland and the area it settled in Kentucky had English Catholic culture, but the big center of Catholicism in the South was Louisiana, southern Louisiana, and the Gulf Coast of Alabama and Mississippi into Florida. Louisiana, as I say, was very much the center of Southern Catholicism. There were certain other elements. I mean, it's interesting, for instance, that there were a number of Catholic Southern writers, of whom probably the most famous was with two of them, Margaret Mitchell, who wrote Gone with the Wind. She was Catholic, as are the O'Haras in the book and then in the movie. And Flannery O'Connor, she was Irish on her father's side, but on her mother's side, she descended from a Maryland English Catholic colony that went down to Georgia, a place called Locust Grove. And there were a few other Catholic islands here and there. But for the most part, Maryland and Kentucky on the one hand, southern Louisiana and the Gulf Coast on the other, were the centers of Catholicism in the South. And Louisiana, of course, has many, many, many Catholic customs. Fish during Lent and muskrat.
Really?
Very French. Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. Well, because the muskrat's aquatic, lives in the water.
I mean, is a muskrat like a rat? I don't.
No, it's not like a rat. It's like a big rodent, like a beaver.
Still.
Only it doesn't have the funny tails.
Have you ever tasted muskrat?
Yeah.
How is it?
It's all right. Musky. Well, it's better than being ratty. And you can actually get it in the area around Detroit as well, for the same reason, because the French went in for muskrat. And, you've got, of course, the as I say, Lent, you've got Mardi Gras, you've got all sorts of customs for Christmas and Easter and all that. So, but it's a real mosaic of peoples, because you have the different sorts of folk who are called Creoles. That covers a number of different meanings. You've got the Cajuns, of course. You've got various Spanish descendants. A lot of Italians and Irish went to New Orleans, and a lot of Catholic blacks, and they all have their own customs. It's interesting that the St. Joseph's Table tradition that the Italians brought to New Orleans was picked up by the blacks in New Orleans as well. So you have, on St. Joseph's Day, St. Joseph's tables are big in New Orleans, but you'll see not just amongst Italians, but amongst blacks as well, Catholic blacks. And the same is true to a lesser degree in Mobile and Biloxi and Pensacola, St. Augustine, places like that. And that's pretty much the Catholic South. The older cities have a certain Catholic presence, especially on the rivers. St. Louis, Missouri, Louisville, Kentucky, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Places like that tend to have a somewhat larger Catholic contingent but usually a connection either to Louisiana or to Maryland.
So, does Texas count as the South at all?
It does. And of course, in Texas, you've got, in addition to the Cajun Creole French flavor on the Gulf Coast, you've got obviously a lot of Hispanics in southern Texas, but you also have ethnic Catholic colonies in Texas: Czechs, Poles, Italians, Catholic Germans, a bit like the Midwest and the checkerboard thing. There's a big Polish settlement, big French settlement on either side of San Antonio. Pana Maria is the Polish settlement, and gosh, what's the name of the French settlement? My mind has gone right blank. I forget what it is, but it was settled by Alsatians, and it's west of San Antonio. Castroville, that's what it's called.
Okay. Let's expand a little bit to the west, and let's get to New Mexico, even though it might not be proper South or whatever. But I want to do that because I remember your all-time favorite or most Catholic city you listed was in New Mexico. Is that correct?
Yes. One of them. Santa Fe.
Yeah. So does New Mexico, does that city have any special, have they carried with them any special traditions?
Oh, sure. Hispanic traditions, not Mexican, but very old, because they were settled in the 1500s. And the Hispanic population has very, very old roots in that area. Mind you, they're also Mexicans, but the Hispanos, as they call themselves, are very much a people apart. The Milagro Beanfield War was written about them.
What is that?
That's a novel. Never mind. If you don't know it, you don't know it.
All right.
But it's a very, again, very, very strange people, very apart.
But I'm trying to get to the tangible customs, perhaps Catholic customs that caused you to say this is one of the most Catholic areas.
Well, again, keeping Lent, Holy Week is a big, big deal there. Good Friday and Holy Saturday.
What does that mean? What does that mean when you say big deal?
Processions through the streets with statues of the Virgin and all that, and these penitential societies, the penitentes, do crucifixions on Good Friday as an act of devotion. No fun being crucified.
Yeah.
They only do it for 15 minutes, then you come off. I mean, it's, and of course they have a lot of interesting Christmas traditions, tamales and all that. But they have the luminarias, which are basically candles in brown paper bags, with sand in the bags to keep them steady. And
sounds dangerous. Okay. And the fact that it's candles in paper bags sounds dangerous to me.
Not votive candles. And they rest in sand, and you'll have whole lines of these things that are a really big deal. Every village has its patron saint's feast day, which will be a big thing with a mass and a parade and sometimes a dance and so forth.
Wow.
So New Mexico was briefly part of the South in that it was conquered by Southern troops in 1862. The furthest west the Confederacy got was Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. Well, that's it for the questions. For the book of the week, I asked Charles. I said, Charles, I don't have a book of the week. What do you want to promote? He says, Vinny, what we need to promote is the book Birth Control, a statement of Christian doctrine against Malthusians.
By Halliday Sutherland.
Halliday Sutherland. So, why'd you tell me this? Why you telling me to promote this book, Charles?
I'm telling you to promote that book, firstly, because it needs to be read. A lot of people, one of the things that I hope this current situation will cause us to reflect on, when churches are closed, but abortuaries and abortion mills are open. Nobody reflects on that.
Yeah.
They should be closed. In Texas and Ohio and some other places, the governors have said no non-essential surgeries. And buttercups, take it from me, murdering an infant is not essential surgery. So there they've closed them. They need to be closed everywhere. But we live in a society that is so stupid it doesn't figure it out. It doesn't understand that. Halliday Sutherland saw the roots of our problem back with the birth control issue. I think it's very important for us to emerge from this strange Lent with a redoubled commitment to the sanctity of human life, because there's a good chance that a lot of us are going to see so much of it lost in the next few weeks and months.
Yeah.
Life really is precious, you know. And murdering infants in the womb while expecting God to hear our prayers, I don't know. I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah. I'll just say the blurb. Chillingly Prophetic by Charles Coulombe.
That's right. The other interesting thing, keep your eye out, his grandson, Mark Sutherland, is coming out with a biography of his grandfather. And I got to tell you, you know, I found Halliday Sutherland by accident. I had no idea either of his medical record or of his adventures as a promoter of children's health, which is what he was. I knew him as a travel writer. He wrote some great travel books.
Yeah.
Lapland and Scotland and Ireland and all sorts of other places that ended land. Very, very well written, very enjoyable. And then suddenly I came across this thing. And then I did a little bit of research into his life. And he was a committed opponent of birth control because he was a committed opponent of eugenics. Now, people don't like talking about eugenics today. And they don't like to talk about the fact that Margaret Sanger in the United States and Marie Stopes in England, who was his big opponent, that they were all for eugenics. We'll say. People don't like to think about that. But remember, at the bottom of Planned Parenthood is the same ideology that gave us the Nazis. That's their rich heritage, and they should embrace it.
Yeah. So this book has a lot of interesting things. It talks about the genesis of Malthusian thought, and it has some interesting roots. That's very interesting roots. I think they trace it. He actually traces it to a single body of work, which is fairly demonic. It's actually really, yeah. Come
on. Why would Satan want to have infants sacrificed to him?
Yeah, I know, right? And we appendix we have Humane Vitae at the end of it, because I don't think anyone has actually read Humane Vitae. So if that's one of those things on your to-do list, it's right here nicely in the birth control book. So, yep. That'll do it for this episode.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is there something else you need to say, Charles, to get off your chest, or?
I'm an exile from my native land. Thousands of miles of land and sea separate me from the land that gave me birth.
Hey, you abandoned us. You weren't exiled. You abandoned us.
I was thrown out of my ear.
In our time of need.
I was tossed out like yesterday's garbage.
You jumped out like a rat on a sinking ship.
I was banished as a prisoner of conscience.
Oh gosh.
You don't sound impressed.
You're a POW in the war on poverty.
That's true. And I'm here in the POW camp. Yeah. Yes, that's me, a POW in the war on poverty, a deserter from the Salvation Army. Oh, gosh. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's been fun. We hope it's been fun for you. Remember, if it's Monday,
it's off the menu.
and the soul you save
may be your own.
God bless, ladies and gentlemen. Keep the home fires burning, and we'll see you in a week.